Hello and welcome to day 4 of the Profit series. Today I'm excited to continue our conversation that we had yesterday talking about how to break the cycle of living client payment to client payment, right? We left our job so we don't live check to check, but sometimes we find ourselves sadly in client payment to client payment, whether we're new to business or we're a seasoned pro in business. So we're continuing the conversation. How do we break that cycle? Yesterday, we talked about to break that cycle, we needed to do 3 things. Number 1, we needed to get ahead on our cash flow so that we could have a nice slush fund of extra cash available so that we're not just living from client payment to client payment. That was how we were going to start to break that cycle. Step number 2 is to start using a profit model within our business so that when we're making decisions on how to invest in our business, we're making decisions based on what was going to bring us the most profit to our business. And then the third and final step is use strategies to get clients that have a high profit and a high ROI. So we're going to continue the deep dive conversation on the first step of breaking that pattern of client payment to client payment, which is getting ahead on our cash flow and creating our cash flow. Yesterday in Profit Series number 3, we talked about how to get clients because there are actually 2 ways to get ahead in our cash flow. And yesterday we deep dive into step number 1, which was get clients. Step number 2 to get ahead on our cash flow, though, is to get a business loan, right? So I say a business loan because we're going to talk about creative ways to get funds and fund our business, not just the typical business loan. So again, today we're going to talk about how to get business loans for our business so that we can get ahead on our cash flow. So we're going to deep dive into this, and I'm going to list 9 different ways and how you can get funded in your business. Okay, so first step is number 1, yes, you can get the traditional business loan. Now, before actually I deep dive into these steps, I do want to throw out a disclaimer. Anytime you're doing something for your business, you want to use discernment. You never want to put yourself or your family in any kind of jeopardy or risk. So make sure you're using discernment with any of these strategies to make sure that it's the right strategy for you. One or all or some may not be the best strategy for you. So again, number 1 is you could go the traditional route, which is getting a business loan. There are banks that want to work with entrepreneurs, especially in our economy today. So there's small lending associations or locally owned banks and things like that that want to help finance small businesses. There are other ways to get business loans from other other places of funding, but you just want to look into that and make sure that your interest rates are not ridiculously high and you're better off going to a loan shark. Okay, number 2 is to get some low interest credit cards along that same line. We want low interest so that we don't end up upside down in whatever funding that we get. So if you have a view that debt is bad, we want to look at how we're looking at debt because there is good debt and there is bad debt. Good debt is something that you invest in and that you're going to get a return on. So even if you go in debt, if you're going to reap rewards because of that debt, that's good debt. Bad debt is just going out and buying a big screen TV because you want a big screen TV. It's not going to make you any money. So we need to have a different conversation in our minds around debt. So getting a low interest credit card is something that you can pay back and you can use to temporarily fund your business so that you can continue to learn, you can continue to grow, you can continue to develop your business. And we, again, want to look at that conversation that we have about debt in our mind because a lot of people don't bat an eye when we spend a lot of money on our student loan debt. And then sometimes we don't end up using what we went to school for, myself included. So really, what's the difference? And we're funding a business that's going to make us money in the long run. So we want to make sure we have the right view of debt, even if it's on a credit card. So that's strategy number 2 is a low interest credit card. Strategy number 3 to get a business loan for our business would be looking at what sort of investments do we have that we could pull from or borrow from, such as a 401k or other investments or portfolios that we can borrow from. Now, again, this is money that we're going to be able to replenish from the money that we make from our investing in our business. So what do we have sitting around that we could pull from to invest, whether it's something in the market or it's a 401k, something like that that's just sitting there that we could pull from temporarily and then replenish it. Step number 4 along that same line would be a home equity line of credit. So again, this is something that we have sitting that we could perhaps use to get money from. And sometimes banks will offer home equity lines up to as much as 85% as the value of your home. 85% of the value. What could you do if you were able to take those funds and reinvest it into your business, give you some padding so that you're not living client payment to client payment, and then to continue to invest in your business. The other thing that we want to look at, or the downside of looking at using a credit equity line, is you are putting your home at risk. So this might not be a good option for everyone, but it could be a great option for some. So again, you always want to understand the risk and everything that's involved when you're looking at how to fund your business. Number 5, this may not be your favorite strategy, but sometimes it's necessary: getting a job. Now, getting a job, it could be a part-time job, and it may not be your dream job of what you want to do necessarily, but what you need to look at it as not a job, but it is a temporary business loan to fund and fuel your starting up of a business. And it is temporary, and look at it as temporary, as a way to create a stream of income to help you getting from out of the cycle of client payment to client payment, or if you're starting to get underwater because you don't have enough client payments, you may need to temporarily get a part-time job. And again, view it as a hustle to build your dream and to give you that padding that you need in your business, and so you can reinvest in your business. Number 6, this is a really creative strategy that I love, that I've seen clients use, and I've even used myself at times, which is sell your stuff. Sometimes we need to do what it takes, even if that means getting a job or getting a credit card. Sometimes we need to do what it takes so that we have the funds available to invest in our business and to get out of that client payment to client payment. So for example, I've sold instruments. I had a ton of instruments that were just sitting around that I wasn't using from when I went to school for music therapy. And I realized I needed to do that so that I could invest in a coach, or that I could invest in a sponsorship, or invest in something where I wasn't living client payment to client payment. And it was worth it to me because number 1, I wasn't using it. And number 2, I was able to then take that and get an ROI, get a return on my investment from using those funds more applicably. So other people have used jewelry, for example. Maybe you have an ex that gave you a necklace or a ring that's just sitting around there, and you can sell it and you can get the income from that. Or maybe you have a boat, or you have something extra that you don't really need. Sometimes we have to do what it takes. And if you're all in, and you're truly all in, all your chips are in, and you know that this is what you need to do for your business, for your life, then go all in. Look at and be creative and think outside of the box of what it is you can do. I know some people went to garage sales, and they would find really cool things at garage sales and yard sales, and they would sell it on eBay. And that's how they paid for sponsorships. That's how they paid for vacations. That's how they paid for hiring the business coach that they wanted. So think outside of the box and get creative on what are some ways that you can create some extra income to give yourself some padding so you're not living client payment to client payment, but also so you can reinvest in your business. So that's number 6, sell your stuff. Number 7 is friends and family. There's some times where our friends and family, they're happy to invest in us and to help us and to help our, not just our dream, but to help our business, especially if you have established a pattern of knowing they can count on you to do the work. You're not just sitting at home eating chocolate, watching Netflix. You're really doing the work, right? And a lot of times friends and family are also happier to offer you some sort of a loan at a much lower interest rate or no interest rate whatsoever. Right? So there's people like, for example, Richard Branson actually created a program for his friends and family when they would come to him and want a loan, where he made it very easy for them, where they could track the loan, they could have the loan with him, but they also had accountability and learned how to be professional and to be organized, so that he made sure that they paid back the money, and he was also able to help his friends and family at the same time. So I know that that can be a difficult conversation sometimes, but our friends and family are often happy to help us out if we can show that we are doing the work and that we are being responsible with money that they give us in exchange. So that's number 7. Number 8 is look at your life and your lifestyle and see where we can make some cuts and we can make some changes and cut out unnecessary expenses. So look at your budget and look at how you're spending your money. Is there somewhere where you can cut back a little bit? Maybe are you eating out a lot? Do you have a huge cable bill and you can cut out HBO or Cinemax or whatever, right? Look at how you can tweak spending your money. Are you going to Starbucks and spending money on coffee every day? Look at how you're spending and how can you trim back so that you have some extra money just for a temporary amount of time until you get your cash flow consistent. And then you can look at, do I want to bring these back into my life or is it actually better without it? So it's amazing how much we can cut. Even a couple $100s a month can make a big difference. So look at what are we spending in our hobbies and our day-to-day life and how we can create some more money for ourselves and for our business. Number 9, I love this one because it's simple. Get started. Get started and do something. It's amazing how I hear that, people are waiting for everything to be perfect. They want the website done, they want the business cards beautiful, they want to have the right font in their logo, they want their office to be perfectly decorated. I literally had a phone call with a prospect who was waiting to get started and to start selling her packages or even create packages she could sell. She didn't want to start her business until she had decorated and designed her office perfectly so she had the right energy in the room when she was calling her prospects and working. Get started. If you're not sure how to make money and how to get clients and you're waiting to have everything perfect in line, it doesn't need to be perfect. Good is good enough to get started, right? You need to create cash, you need to get clients, so don't wait for all of your ducks to be perfectly in a row. I know people who have created a 6-figure business and never even had a website. Never had a website. It wasn't needed. A lot of times these are things that we need that will make us feel better, that'll pat ourselves on the back, but we don't need it to get started. We just need to get a client. That's what we need to do. So even if you have to do a few clients at an introductory rate where you're not charging quite as much, and then you get some confidence from selling it and from working with people, at least you've got started. And then you can raise your prices. And then you have money to invest to create the beautiful website, to create the beautiful branding. But get started and get started now. So those were the 9 ways. Get a traditional business loan, low interest credit cards, look at investments that you can pull from like a 401k, apply for a home equity line of client credit. Number 5, get a job. 6, sell some stuff. Number 7, friends and family. Number 8, change your lifestyle and cut out unnecessary expenses. And number 9, get started and take action. So these are all 9 different ways that you can start funding your business and give yourself a business loan, so to speak, so that you can break the cycle of living client payment to client payment, because now you have some cash flow and some extra money ahead. So in the coming profit series, we will be talking about the next step of breaking the cycle, which is step number 2, is living in a way where your business is operating under the profit model. So the decisions that you're making in your business are in the best way to give yourself more profit in your business. And then later on, we'll talk about strategies to get clients that have a high profit and high ROI. So thank you for joining me today for Profit Series number 3. I can't wait to see you tomorrow, where we're going to start talking about how you can create more profit in your business by making business decisions that are profit forward. I'll see you then.